Well, good afternoon, good people, and it's Greg here again, and I'm going to show you today how to put one of these attendance spreadsheets together. Now, this is very important because you can give a 100% attendance pin to your members on charter night, or if you have an award ceremony night or something like that. And for those of you who have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 members in your club, you know that could be just absolutely monotonous to take attendance at all the meetings. So I'm going to show you how this can be done very easily using a free resource from Google. And if you have a Gmail account, this is what you have to do. You have to have a Gmail account, which are free. And once you have that, you have access to the Google Drive, which contains the G Suite. The G Suite has spreadsheet, word processing, and presentation software that are available to you for free, okay? The Drive, they give you actually 15 gigabytes of drive space for free. So if you're like a secretary or a treasurer and you want to keep track of your notes and stuff like that, and you really don't want to spend the money for a Microsoft Office or the Office 365 or whatever, that kind of thing per year to have that, you can easily go to Google and it's free. Now, it becomes unfree and you have to pay for it if you want more than 15 gigabytes of drive space. But let me tell you, if you're just making spreadsheets and documents, you're going to find out that it's going to take a lot of spreadsheets and documents, I mean maybe hundreds, to get to 15 gigs. Here, I will show you on one of my main drives over here. Look at all of these. Okay, and over here it says you've only used 5.31 of 15. Look at all of this stuff that I've done. This is like a catch-all for me, okay? And you can see that I've got some of my notary stuff. I've got the drive backup for Lions here, backups, graphics from my iPad, all this stuff. I've got it all backed up to this drive, and I've only used 5.31 gigabytes. Now see where it says buy storage? If I go over 15 gigs, then I have two choices. I can start deleting stuff from here, or I go buy more storage. And the storage is very cheap, but I don't think I'll ever go over 15 gigs. So anyway, when you go back over here to the drive, see it says new? See it says Google Docs? That's the word processor. This is the spreadsheet. This is like PowerPoint presentation slides. This is forms. And if you hit more, see I got drawings, maps, sites, okay, Jamboard. You can connect even more. If you're using Google Chrome and you come over here, do you see you have access to all of this stuff? Okay, so I'm going to create a new spreadsheet, all right, and I'm going to show you how this works. A blank spreadsheet, all right. Now, this is the one that I've already created here, okay, so I'm going to show you how this works, all right. Spreadsheets are used to calculate numbers. A lot of people use them to make forms, okay. So I'm going to put up here attendance spreadsheet, okay, and I'm going to move down a little bit. Now I'm going to explain this to you. These are columns. Columns are denoted by letters. These are cells, or no, these are rows rather, I'm sorry. These are rows. The intersection of a row and a column is called a cell. So, and over here it tells you what cell that is. So If I wanted to be A9, over here is J15 because it's in the J column and the 15th row. That's how that cell is denoted, okay? E8, it's in the E column, the 8th row, all right? All right, so if I come back up here, and this is misspelled because this keyboard sticks. I don't know why. It's the first Logitech keyboard I have that has a sticking problem to it. At any rate, okay, so I'm going to go up here. I'm going to put name. You have to pound hard on this keyboard. Now, let's say our meetings start July 1st, say of 2021. So I'm going to put 7/1/2021. All right, now there's that. And then when you hit enter, it comes back down over here. All right, so let's say I want to go across here, and every 14 days there is another meeting, okay? Well, I would have to go to a calendar and find all of these dates, right? Not really. Remember I told you we're calculating numbers, we can calculate dates. So here's how you do it. See this f of x here? It's called a function. A function is a mathematical term. That means you have a machine that computes a number for you. All right, so if I go in here, C3, how I get to a function, I first put an equal sign like that, all right? And then I'm going to take the mouse and come over here and click this date that I just typed in. Now, do you see what it put? It put B3 in here and it colored it. It's the same color as this cell, all right? Now, it's automatically defaulted to a day all the time, all right? So if I say plus 14, do you see it's already got what it's going to be here? If that's wrong, then you know your formula, you got a problem with your formula, okay? But this is correct because 14 plus 1 is 15, okay? And so let's hit enter, and there it is, okay? So if I go up here, now, do you see how these cells look? It puts a blue block around the cell. But here it has this block here, this little bit bigger block. That is called a handle, all right? That's the technical term for it. So let's say I have 10 meetings. So we have 2 here, I have 8 more. So if I count over 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That goes to K, okay? I grab a hold of this handle. Do you see the arrow turns to this cross? See how it does that? If I click and hold down, watch what happens. See these little dots? And if I go over to K, like this, and I leave off, boom, look what happens. What it did was, it transposed the formula and took this date here, added 14 more to it, and put that date here. Then it goes to this one and it says, hey, take this one and put 14 more in it and put it here. And then it goes to this one and it says, hey, take 14 more to this one and put it here. So we did that for 10 meetings, okay? Now, let's take and put our names down here. Now I'm just going to make up some names, okay? These would be the people in your club. So let's say Jane Doe, John Doe, Jim Harris, Mike Penske, Jill Marion. Okay. Yeah, I just came up with these names. So, at any rate, because I wanted to have some names here. But these would be the names of the people in your club. All right. Now, we need to put if they're present or absent at these meetings. So what you're going to do is say Jane Doe is present, so you put a P. Say John Doe was present, so you put a P. Say Jim Harris was absent, so you put an A. Say Mike Penske was present, so you put a P. Say Jill Marion was absent, so you put an A. Okay, now, down here at the end, we're going to total these things up. Okay, so we're going to put totals. Okay, we'll say total present. Okay, now, we don't want to sit here and add this up. We want the computer to add it up. We want this Google Spreadsheet to add it up. So what do we put in? You guessed it, another formula. Now, we're going to count the number of P's in that column. All right? So this is the formula for that. You would put in an equals, all right? Count, C-O-U-N-T. Now, do you see all of these counts that you have available to you? Well, we want to say count if. Okay? Click like that. Now, do you see what it tells you? It gives you, this is what it's got to look like. The range. All right, a range is a group of cells. Remember we said this is B5. This is B6. This is B7. Okay? We want a range. So if I click here in B5 and I hold down and I drag down like this, there it is right there. That's my range. Let the computer do the work. You just drag and drop, okay? So that was count. That's our range. Now we got to put a comma because we got to give it the criterion. Well, what are we counting? We're counting when those cells have a P in it. So in order to get that, that's a text thing. So you have to put a quote. Quote, P, that's what we're looking for. End quote, and an end parentheses because you're making a formula here. So you have to put an end parenthesis around there. If you miss the parenthesis, it's not going to work. And it's going to come back and say you have an error. So that is the structure. Now, what does it have up here? 3. We'll go back here and look. There's 1, 2, 3. Okay? So I'm going to hit enter. And there's 3. Now, this might sound a little bit mundane with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 people. But if your club has 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 people, this becomes like a godsend because you can count all of these, all right, and put them in. Okay. Underneath of here, though, you have total present. Now, you can have excused absences. It would be just that formula again, that range, but you might have a different letter for it. So instead of a P, it might be an E. And then it will count the number of those letters that are in here. Okay? Now, what am I going to do? See, I got the handle here. I'm not going to retype this whole thing again. I'm just going to grab it and drag it to the end here. And you see it has 0 because there's nothing in these cells yet. Okay? Say the next meeting, Jane Doe is present again. And say John Doe is present again because they're husband and wife and they come all the time. Say Jim Harris is present, but Mike Penske is now absent. And let's say Jill Marion is absent. Okay? Again, there are 3 P's, 2 A's. Total present is 3. Next meeting. And what you're doing is you're grabbing these things and you're putting them in probably after every meeting. I'm just taking this through to show you now. So maybe at the next meeting, everybody is present. Okay. Maybe at the next meeting, everybody is present. Now, see, I put a small p in there. Make sure you put a big P in there because we didn't make it case sensitive. Okay. Now let's say the next meeting, this one's present, this one's present. This one's absent. This one is absent. And here we go with the sticky keyboard again. And this one is present, okay? All right, so we're going to say this one's present, this one's present, this one's present, this one's absent, this one's absent, okay? And then we have this one's present, this one's present, this one's present, this one's present, that one's absent. This one's present, this one's present, this one's absent, this one's absent, this one's present. This one's present, this one's present, this one's present, this one's present, this one's absent. This one's present, 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 okay? Now, so this would be at the end, okay? No more meetings, right? Okay, now, we want to know who has 100% attendance. So you might want to make another column here. It says 100% attendance. Okay? And I'm just going to get it to fit. You can make it actually go across there. I like to try to keep everything just a so. Okay? Down here, now, what do we want to do? We want to count the number of P's. Okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 meetings, right? So this one's going to be a little bit more complicated, okay? So we're going to have equals count if the range. Now we're going across. Instead of going down, we're going to go across. This one all the way across like this, okay? Comma. P, and parentheses. That was 10. Now we're going to divide it by 10 because there were 10 meetings, right? So we have a 1. Now, looky here what Google's doing. It says, oh, I see what you're doing. Well, do you want to go down? Click this check mark, and down it goes. Now, you say, well, that's not in percentages. You're absolutely correct. You highlight them like this. Highlight them like this. See your toolbar up here? You have formatting for numbers. Okay? Choose the percentage, and there you go. Percent attendance. Okay? Now, do you get a pen? So we'll put gets the pen, okay? Now, you don't have to put this in. I mean, you can go down through and you can look. But if you have a whole bunch of people and you're trying to look for these 100%, that's just crazy. All right. We're not going to do a count if in this one. We're just going to do an if. This is a conditional. If this, then do that. Okay? So if you hit equals, if, open your parentheses. Now, do you see here it has, what's your logical expression? What do you want me to do if it's true? What do you want me to do if it's false? Okay, I'm going to come over here and click 100% if this is equal to 1. Now, why 1? Remember when we had 1 in there before? We switched it over to a percent. However, when you divide 10 by 10, you get 1, all right? And 1 is 100%. 0.65 is 65%. 0.10 is 10%, okay? Because you move the decimal 2 places over, all right? So if L5 is equal to 1, comma, what's our value if true? Well, we'll put, in quotes, pen. And you can already see it's saying, yeah, it's 1. Give them the pen, okay? Comma, the value of false, I'm just going to put 2 quotes in like that because I don't want it to say anything, all right? Now, when you close those parentheses, because you always have to close the parentheses after you're done with a formula, and you hit enter, and it's asking again, do you want the suggested autofill? Well, you just click the check mark and down it goes, all right? And how do I know it's down there? Well, if you go up here and click on the next one, do you see it has here? And now you see it has here? Okay. Gets the pin too. So how many pins do you got to order? Well, if you click equals count if it already knows M5 to M9, but we're going to change this. I go up. You can go up here and change it too. See, it says count range criterion. We're going to type the word pin like that, and when you hit enter, you get 2. So how many pins do you got to order from LCIF? 2. And who gets them? John and Jane Doe. All right. Now, here's something else you might want to think about. Do you see how these take so much room over here? All right. If you grab, see how I click that with the hand? Okay. And I drag it over to here. Look what happens. It transferred all that information over here, redid the formulation, okay, and transferred it over here so that you know exactly who gets the pin and you know how many pins you got to order. I will put it back. Over here where it was. Okay. Now, if you highlight all of this like this, this might be easier to read. Over here, click this little down arrow, caret, and click center, and there. You might be able to read that better now, okay? Want to make this smaller? Look up here. Do you see how this, it's an arrow here, it's a hand, it's an arrow, it's a hand, it's an arrow. Okay, so if you click this arrow, double click this arrow, see how that got bolder blue? If you click that arrow, see how it went bigger? You can click that arrow there and bring it this way. If you double click this arrow, see how it collapsed it in? If you double click that arrow, see how it collapsed it in? So now this is called formatting. You're just making it smaller. It will make it as small as the largest cell, okay? That's why I didn't shrink these down. So there you have it. That's how you do an attendance spreadsheet. On Google Spreadsheet here, on Google Sheets, which is free, you can come up here, see it says rename. You can double click that, give it a name, and it will send it right to your drive. And then you can print it up here. If you say print, there's your print page, and it already knows fit to width. And when you click next, what it'll do is it'll make a PDF of it and then bring up your printing options. You can hit print and it'll send it directly to your printer. So there's how you do that. Another way to make your life a little bit easier once you get onto it. But if you give out pins, this is a great way to know who's coming and who is not coming to your club. And you can see, well, this person only comes 50% of the time. Why? This one only comes 60% of the time. Why? You know, in some organizations, they tell you, you have to be there at least 70% of the meetings. Well, this one, and this one are there for 70 or more percent of the meetings. These two are not. Why? And maybe you might want to go ask them why. If it's an excused absence, you might want to count the number of E's. You can change these to E's and then come down here and say excused absences and do all that. But if you give out pins, this is sure an easier way to find out who gets a pin and who doesn't. All you have to do is keep up with putting the P's and the A's or the E's in your spreadsheet after every meeting. And that's about it. Talk to you later. We'll come up with another one later on.